Hey, my friends, welcome to a live stream. Today, we have a new moon in Leo, and I wanted to go live as every single time, every single month when we have full moon, new moons. If possible, I go live. And this one is quite special one because it's in Leo. We are in Leo season, and it's time to be reminded that there is a genius level within you. There is a fire within you. There is a spirit within you that is urging to be expressed. And before we begin, I just need to make sure that everything is working. So let's check if, okay, let's see if people are coming in. For a moment, we'll just wait so people can enter in, so we see from where people are joining. Okay, we are live. We are live. So for everyone who's joining, let us know where you're coming from on this wonderful Sunday. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. And let me know if you can hear me well, if you can see me well, if everything is working well, and then we'll go into the message. Wonderful. People are coming in. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today we're streaming live on this new moon. I have a bit of an update with you. I wanted to share the energy with you. I've came from my mountain bike and I said, we have to go live because I couldn't make a video about this today as I've been not at home. I've been not in the studio. So yes, we're having, how many of you are feeling fiery energy right now? How many of you are feeling fiery energy right now? Feeling inspired, maybe feeling enthusiastic to make certain changes. Today, for our newsletter, to anyone who would love to join our newsletter, go on AttractPassion.com, and at the bottom of the page, you can just enter your email and you will join our newsletter where I'm writing this kind of update. So I wrote, today we have a new moon in Leo while we are in Leo season. I wanted to remind you to notice the fire within you. At this time, it may be urging you towards self-expression, art, or any activity that makes you feel enthusiastic and inspired again. Most importantly, from my perspective, find the thread that connects you with your divinity, a natural-born talent that sleeps or lives within you. Find it, nourish it, and sharpen it until you fully become an expression of it. That spirit, that is the spirit of alliance, speaking through this energy right now. And actually, I've made a video today about this divinity, about this genius that's within you. Like we all have these different types of, genius level of talent. We all have something like that. Sometimes people say, I don't know what I'm good at. And it's because you haven't really looked for what you love to do, and you haven't devoted yourself to something that you would like to improve. And I always want to encourage people to explore their skills, to explore what's interesting, and then get on a journey and understand that it may take years to figure it out. And sometimes it truly is like, in the Bible, there's a story where Jesus said, you need to be like a wise fisher who throws the web into the ocean and, catches plenty of fish. But in this plenty of fish, there's always a big fish. So he takes the big fish and lets the small fish go. And that's how it is. We have to try many different things in life. So then we notice that one specific activity or one specific hobby stands out, and we grab it and and we really explore how far we can take it. And who knows, maybe it becomes eventually a part of something way bigger. So I've named this live stream as "This is a time of big change," because so many people are feeling inspired during this time to make massive changes in their lives. And it's not necessary to be something big. Sometimes it's something just just becoming more honest in your family circle, like setting more clear boundaries so you can protect your energy, and it can create a big change in your life, because you will notice that maybe most of your life you've been just tired and exhausted because people were not respecting you, and people were not respecting you because you were not respecting yourself, and you were not respecting yourself because you maybe had no idea how to treat boundaries more, or maybe how to express them. Because when you know what you need, then you can easily also express your needs, right? You can say, hey, I need this time of quietness because I'm reading a book, or because I'm working on this art, or because I'm just meditating, or because I'm chilling. And you become more honest with people around you, and it will produce a big change. And it's, expression of your needs. So this fiery energy can express in many different ways. There's sun. Yeah. Welcome everyone who's joining us live. There's sun in Leo, and sun is our soul. It's kind of our essence that's also connected with the fire. It's it's what you feel when you're the most enthusiastic about something. That's when you feel the most connected to yourself. That's when you're not so much in your ego, because you've noticed that you're the most loving towards others when you're the most fulfilled in your life, right? And when you're the most fulfilled in your life is when you feel the most connected to your soul, to the essence of who you are at this point. This is the sun, and sun is influencing this part of you. And when sun is in Leo, well, this part of you is a bit louder, it's a bit more fiery, it is moving you, it is motivating you. But the thing is, nothing happens by itself. Because, so many times I see people waiting when something will change. And well, when you feel inspired, the question is, are you using inspiration? Or when you don't feel inspired, are you looking, reflecting at your life and asking yourself, are you living according to your values? Are you, checking your belief systems? Is this serving you? Is how you think still helpful for your growth? Are you growing? If not, why not? What is holding you back? And it's never something outside of you. It's never something outside of you. So as long as you're blaming something, you're in a prison of blame. So why are you in a prison of blame? And you could reflect on that. Well, because something may be very heavy happened to you. And if something very heavy happened to you, it's because something big is in front of you, and it's time for you to let go of whatever blame you're holding on and fully get into a solution that will take you to that next level. And that is a huge change, right? It's time for you to create your world. It's time for you to create your world. And I've actually made a painting by the name Create Your World. And here is a Leo behind me. So here is a painting, Create Your World. And this is like so in tune with today's message, because it's a guy painting the moon. Sometimes people say I've painted a portrait of me, but I've painted you, every one of you who are passionate about growth and transformation. And I just wanted to jump in quickly to remind you that this is a huge time, and for any change you're working on, and it's time for you to become very honest with yourself. and to remind yourself that life rewards devoted. If you're devoted to growth, if you're devoted to truth, also, knowing what could be good for you, knowing what could be good for your personal evolution, for your spiritual evolution, devote yourself to it. But then also notice there's many hard stuff you will need to deal with. So it's kind of like also finding this soldier kind mentality, but more of a light soldier, like doing heavy changes with love. If you notice, maybe having financial struggles and you're in a position where you need to change your job or get a new job, well, maybe you shouldn't approach it from fear. Maybe you should approach it from excitement. Like, maybe this thing happened because at that potential new job you will meet a new person that will introduce you to something completely new. And that's what happened to a good friend of mine who changed his job, and it was a huge transition for him. And then after or since he changed his job, so much great things started happening to him, even though that job was not his dream job. But after he changed that job, he got an invitation for a meeting for his dream job, and so much good stuff started happening to him because firstly he overcame fear. And the thing is that what we befriend transcends, right? What we befriend transcends. And this is again related to this energy right now, because it's, well, you can avoid things, you can run away from things, you can use escaping mechanism and keep yourself running in circles, constantly repeating same mistakes until finally you learn a lesson. But then you can actually forgive to yourself for maybe not seeing lessons before, and forgive to yourself for being so maybe angry towards you, maybe so, I don't know, fearful, being a coward. Forgive to yourself for being a coward. And remind yourself that you have courage within you. And courage is not something that happens. People say, I wish I would be courageous. I wish I would be more brave. But, well, you only become what you are practicing to be. So if you really want to find a sense of courage that Leo's energy is bringing to you, well, you need to practice it. And if you want to practice whatever, you need to kind of plan it in advance, right? You need to write it down and decide, from tomorrow on, I will start doing that. Like working out, like writing, like for me, painting. Right now, I'm working on a painting that I've been working on and off for 2 years. And it's such an incredible painting, one of the greatest I've made, and I'm super proud of it. But it's like, how many times you lose motivation and inspiration and drive, and you get back to yourself and you ask yourself why you've started in the first place. There was a vision that was bigger than my life right now. And I think everyone should ask yourself right now, like, what is a vision at this moment that is bigger than me right now, that is bigger than my life right now, that is bigger than anything I know at this moment? So you can devote yourself to it. But also you can accept it will not be an easy journey. Like, nothing worthwhile is easy. But actually, if we study the past, we recognize easy times make weak people. And even if you reflect on living easy life, if you've been living easy life, I know many of you are not living easy life. Many of you are going through a lot. And we are in a time of huge transition. So many of us are going through many very maybe painful things or many changes or many even exciting things. I mean, it all depends of your mindset and attitude towards life right now. I feel quite excited for what is coming, but I'm quite compassionate towards people who are going through hard times right now, because usually all it takes is to change a perspective. That's why it's good to go to the mountains here and there to notice how much a perspective changes if you step above where you are and notice that you're this tiny little dot and all the problems and challenges are even smaller than these dots of yourself. Because then when you kind of step outside of yourself and look at the situation from a different perspective, you notice there's many potential solutions, and maybe none of them will be easy, but all of them will be worth it. And the question is only when to start, and the answer is right now. So a wise saying goes, nothing can stop you because the spirit of service is in you. Nothing can stop you because the spirit of service is in you, and you need to find it. So you step out of ego and you remind yourself of who you truly are. Ego is a word that means self, but it means lower self. It's like a mask, it's like an identity you've developed. It's like a mechanism you've developed that is protecting you from potential pain. That's ego. And sometimes for protective mechanisms, you develop a sense of avoidance or need to feel superior. So you would kind of show up as someone who's great without becoming great. And it doesn't work. You see, all great people have become great because they've been in an act of service. An act of service is not, it doesn't need to be something huge like, I don't know, leading millions of people. It can be going outside and being kind to a neighbor. When you go into a grocery store and being kind to someone, when you go, I don't know, if you go into a coffee shop and saying a good hello and start some random conversations. Like, I always encourage people to start talking with strangers, because this is, I don't know how it is in your country, but here in Slovenia, if you're in the city, it's quite weird sometimes. People are not so used to it, and I like to encourage people. I'm doing it as often as it's possible to just talk with strangers, because so many times interesting conversations unfold, and that's beautiful to experience. Just some time ago, we've been on a road back, me and Maya, and we stopped somewhere, and an older guy came to us and just started a conversation, and he was like a spirit guide. He started he asked us what we are doing, and then we asked them what they are doing, and so on and so on. And when I told him an artist, he was never stop creating. Artists, they are different from everybody else. You should never stop creating. And it was like, meeting a spirit guide. And sometimes things like that happen because we open up. And you never know how many times you may hear words you needed to hear because you've been courageous enough to talk with someone. And I don't know why, but I'm talking about this right now because, yeah, it's a part of courage. It takes courage to be happy. It takes courage to have breakthroughs in your life. It takes courage to break patterns, and it takes courage to experience massive changes. But it's not a coincidence that right now you may feel like you want to change so many things in your life. Maybe you're starting a new workout routine. Maybe you're starting a new strategy at your business. Maybe you're writing a new financial plan or even a business plan. I have a fly here in the studio, so it's constantly flying here around me, but it's okay. So maybe you're starting something completely new. I've seen some people are starting a YouTube channel, feeling inspired. Keep up, keep exploring things. Keep exploring things, but don't just jump from one thing to another. You see, our brain is designed to develop long-term patterns, because otherwise we build otherwise synaptic connections lose up and we become quite forgetful. So one path is to become focused and consistent and devoted, and another path is to become passive, lazy, and forgetful. And it's just, if we want to take the constructive path of focus, of devotion, of persistence, perseverance, we need purpose for that, right? We need purpose for that. And yeah, Slovenia looks so beautiful. It's such an incredible place to live, and I'm grateful to be here. It's the nature here. It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, purpose requires clarity, and clarity requires research, right? And it also requires a need to understand ourselves, because sometimes it's like you need to shift your mindset and learn something new, like read some new books or listen a podcast or something that changes your perspective. But other times it's shifting your biology. And if you can't find this mental clarity, just go outside for a long walk or for a run, and something that will maybe change your breathing pattern, something that will speed up your heartbeat a little bit, like hiking or running. Or I love doing strength workouts, especially in the morning, because they put me in that peak state of mind. And in that peak state, I think differently. I'm on a different frequency. And that's how we notice that on each frequency, we actually attract towards ourselves different thoughts. So people who are often lost in negative thinking, I like to suggest them to do things more actively, like become more active, not out of escaping, as many times athletes or people who are into sports, sometimes they use sports for escaping from their pain, which sometimes works, but it also leads to burnout. But start reading yourself, like what you really need. If you've been not so active, well, your body is an animal and it needs movement. And look what kind of movement really works for you. But then also, look, animals are resting a lot. Here where we are living, we are surrounded with cows, horses, butterflies, birds. Here's a bunch of all kinds of different animals. And hey, everyone in the chat. And animals are resting a lot. And your body is an animal. Well, as much as you're pushing yourself, also rest. Find balance between hard work and easy work, and doing a lot and doing nothing. This is all required in order so your fire doesn't burn out. And you need to also understand that your destiny is greater than your wounds. Your destiny is greater than your wounds. Can you understand that? Your destiny is greater than your wounds. Write it down, because our wounds can hurt us, and it can cause a lot of pain. And as Alfred Adler, the founder of Adlerian psychology, said, each emotion is like a tool for communication. And if you've been growing up in an environment where people around you have been using anger as a tool for communication because nothing else worked, well, most probably you're walking around angry. And every time when something triggers you, you find a reason to be angry. Well, you have to retrain yourself to use a better emotion for communication. Because you can notice, if you would start valuing something like a different emotional experience more frequently, you would notice that every time you become angry, you can also use maybe peace in that moment. Or you can use maybe honesty or truthfulness, or just start articulating yourself more slowly. So you notice that you don't need to outburst out of anger just because it's your program. You can reprogram yourself. And in moments when it's the most intense are also the moments when you can do the most work. So you don't try to do healing just in meditations. You use meditations to prepare for the real world, right? For the real life. That's how you create the new world, right? And it kind of needs to become necessity, isn't it? It kind of needs to become necessity because, well, as long as something is not necessity, we will be like, one day we will be into it and the other day we will be just, somewhere else. Leonardo da Vinci said something very powerful. He said, necessity is the mistress and guide of nature. Necessity is the theme and inventress of nature, her curb and her eternal law. Nature grows because its necessity is to grow. Just today, we've been swimming in the river here close to us. And, when I am close to a river, I sit down and I observe the flow, the flow, the stream of water. And every time I see the stream, it reminds me, look, life is constantly moving on. It's constantly moving on. How many times we get stuck at certain maybe phase or at certain situation, and we are afraid of losing what is falling, not understanding that in the next few days, we can be somewhere completely else. If you only allow yourself to surrender what is leaving you at this point, to let go of what is leaving you, you may end up somewhere else where you will be surprised how events turned out to be. And isn't it a big change? So when people say nothing is changing in my life, I always ask them, what are you holding on to? What are you holding on to? Because I know how scary it is to let go of something that maybe worked for such a long time and then it stopped working. Everything in life works in cycles. And the purpose of cycles is to ascend to the next level. And if we don't consciously keep ascending, keep improving, keep growing, we will go through the three phases of transformation, which is the breakdown, the dark night of the soul, right? And then we'll go through purification, where we'll need to reevaluate our lives. We'll need to check again our values. Are we living according to our values? What kind of principles we are holding on to? Are we even aware of that? Or are we still living in the programs of society or programs of our parents? Because most of the time, right, we see behaviors and words. That's on the conscious level. We see behaviors and we hear words. But we're not really aware that behaviors and words come from beliefs, values, and meaning, right? We attach to things. This is the subconscious mind. And that's what is truly leading us. So if you don't like that life put you into these three phases of transformation, which is breakdown, renewal, so you can crystallize into a new you, well, keep updating your beliefs. Keep updating your values. Your values will be changing. For me, they are changing. Well, when I've started at the beginning, I was valuing money because I was broke. And I said, I want to make a lot of money so I can live a lifestyle that serves me. Then at some point when we've started making some money, when things started growing, I've started valuing different things. I've started valuing more love in my life, more peace in my life, more honesty in my life. Because I've noticed that when I've reached certain degree of my dreams and goals, I've noticed while my character hasn't changed much. I mean, I've reached, all these things I was dreaming about, but still internally, I was lacking self-love. I was lacking acceptance, and I was still led by anger many times, by shame many times. So I've started valuing vulnerability, openness, honesty, truthfulness. And it was so hard actually to work on that in relationships in which I've been an old self. And I know many of you may relate to that. Like, you may have certain relationships in your life, like certain people in your life with whom you have connection for such a long time, and you're growing, and when you meet them, you're still like an old version of you because that's how you're used to. Right? Many of us are dealing with that, and it's okay. Like, it's okay. But then you come home and you can reflect, how was I doing? Like, am I satisfied with who I was? Was I also someone who was supportive for others? Or was I still in my ego and was it all about me? Or, whatever is your situation. It's not like blaming yourself. Look, I've done so much work, but it didn't change in this relationship. No. It's about constant reflection. Reflection leads to evolution, right? Because you can see patterns that you keep repeating. As long as you can see what you're repeating, you will eventually be able to change that. If you don't see what you're repeating, you will never know what's the cause of these effects. And only deep reflection can allow you to see what you're doing. If you're into spirituality, my friends, well, if you study the history of spirituality, the history of real spiritual science, it was all about discipline, inner work, deep reflection, and constant evolution. It was not about, like nowadays, many people think it's just about meditation and prayer and things like that. But it's really the understanding of your subconscious self, unconscious self, the shadow self. So you notice what is really leading your life. Because if 95% we're living unconsciously, oh well, then it's a lot to reflect on. But at the same time, it's not, it's not really ethics or morality that is leading us, it's love. Because still, if you don't stop, it means there's something that loves you much more than than anything else. Because if there would be no love, I'm sure you would not exist anymore. Like, a part of you loves you, and that part of you is really you. But as long as we are identified with ego, with this small self, with our emotions, with our thoughts, with our problems, then it's hard to really notice what real self-love truly means, right? The real self-love, I believe, means to understand that you're in the process of evolution, but you can't evolve without putting in the effort, the energy, the work, and creating a vision that is bigger than you. It's like Joe Lynn said, breaking the patterns We need to keep breaking the patterns. What happens to a tree if you break its branch? It grows new ones, right? But even if you look branches, they're not like growing straight forward or like all are the same. Like in society, we find so many people want to be like everybody else. But in nature, each tree is unique. They don't compare themselves with others. I wrote this message today that is, to me, it's quite profound. There is a genius level talent within you. However, as long as you compare yourself to others, you will never uncover its full potential. Focus on yourself and discover your own path in life. Only you can open the doors meant for you to step through. Only you can open the doors meant for you to step through. Can you feel that? Because, yeah, celebrate yourself. You know, when I've started my art journey, I thought that there will come a person that will open doors for me, and there will be an art gallery that will just buy my art, and everything will just start like that. And actually, a few people came. I mean, also great people came that actually opened doors for me. And of course, I had incredible support around me. Like my partner, Maya, she was incredible support. And without her, nothing of that would be possible. And Maya's parents actually saw a potential in what I'm doing, and they gave me a lot of mental support. Not so much like most of the things we needed to figure out. But the thing was, when you think someone out there somewhere should open doors for you, you want to escape the truth that says you can do it by yourself. And when you truly put all your work into it, universe will send you people who will help you on that. It's only so you really put all your work in, because just magic happens when you put everything you have into it. It's not like hoping things will work out, and it's not like finding the easiest things or finding the things we love the most and then hoping that this thing will bring us money, success, and everything. It's finding the thing that makes you grow the most, but then making sure that we'll do everything we can so that thing can grow. Like I needed to do everything I could back in the past, back in 2017. So my painting journey started evolving. Eventually, that was all I was doing. I mean, it became everything. Like today, I'm doing art and I'm doing messages for you and I'm helping people. I'm coaching. But, at the beginning, you need to diversify yourself. Try to use all your skills. If you think you don't have many skills, then start doing everything you can. Go outside, look for a job, and start working anything you can find to gain skills. Because each skill will serve you at a certain point of your evolution. And that is a big thing. It's all Leo, it's all fire. I mean, it's so much more than fire, it's also structure. Your brain needs structure. If you don't have structure in your life, then you will never finish what you've started. You see, structure is a masculine energy that requires feminine energy of creativity. But, no creative ideas will manifest in a physical world without structure. Okay, this is a wonderful question. What if the ones you love the most isn't on the same level of growth? Well, it truly doesn't matter because you can learn from everyone. Actually, saying that they are not on the same level is already judging them, because how can you know they are not on the same level? How can you know on what level are you? If you're interested in different knowledge than them, if you have maybe more self-awareness than them, does it mean that you're on a higher level? Or does it mean that you're just more evolved in self-awareness and maybe they're more evolved somewhere else where you couldn't figure out because you think about yourself most of the time? So people around you are exactly what you need. And when you will, if you will at certain point of your life deeply feel like they're only stopping you and they're only holding you back and they can't serve you, like you don't have nothing in common with them anymore, well then move on, move away from them. You always have a choice. But I've just found out in my life that most of the time when I think they're not on the same level, I'm actually judging them. So stop judging them and see what can you learn from them. Maybe they have something that you're not seeing in them because you thought you're more evolved. The truth is we are so much less evolved than we think we are, and we always find it out later in life. You see, I at a certain phase in my life, I thought Maya is not on the same level. Maya is my partner, that she's not on the same level than me because I'm constantly studying this ancient philosophies and psychology and psychiatry and sometimes physics and metaphysics and philosophy and art and all of that, and she's not studying that. And I thought I will outgrow them, and at some point we'll not have nothing in common anymore. But you know what? She was naturally evolved in emotional openness and love and care. So I've noticed I may evolve my intellect with this knowledge, but my humanness will never evolve without what Maya has. So it doesn't matter how much my ego thought I'm growing with all of that. Well, I needed to humble myself because I've noticed that sometimes love truly is more powerful than anything we know. And love doesn't judge others. Love learns from others. Because in a community, and if you can be a part of a local community where you will grow the most, you will notice people are on different levels. Like you will never find a perfect community where everyone is like you, same-minded. Well, you can have friends that will be same-minded, with whom you will build, certain, I don't know, deep conversations or something that will be very helpful for you. This is good. This is very healthy. But in life, my friend, in life, you have people that are on their own paths, on their own levels of growth, and you can't judge. You can't judge that. Actually, if you're on a spiritual journey, isn't compassion a virtue? Isn't empathy a virtue? Isn't understanding a virtue? And I'm not saying I'm perfect in that. I have same challenges and I have similar thoughts sometimes. And yeah, that's what we're overcoming, right? Okay, another good question. What if I don't know where exactly to go, but I feel change and drive so strong? Well, ask yourself what brings you the most happiness. What activity or what hobby, what job, or what brings you the most happiness? And then explore it and don't stop exploring it for at least 3 to 4 months. Don't stop after 1 week or 2 weeks. Explore it for 3 to 4 months, because in 3 months you will develop some habits with it. And when you develop some habits, what was hard at the beginning will turn into something that becomes quite joyful. And I'm saying that because I've talked with people who've started certain businesses that they were not really enjoying at the beginning. They said, I've started that because I had no idea what else to start. But then more I was doing it, more I've started liking it. And now I love it because I've noticed it's actually serving people. And when I'm seeing now that it's serving people, I love it even more. So if you don't know where exactly to go, just ask yourself what brings you happiness. And if you don't know what brings you happiness at this point, then just start whatever. Start whatever. Whatever you find that is accessible to you at this point, start it. Even if it's not pleasant, maybe just start working out, go into the gym, maybe find even a coach, find a mentor, or just look for a book that will be interesting to you and start reading it. Start studying it and see what in that book will become interesting to you. And then explore it and write it down, like write down what became interesting to you. When you will have a list of things that are interesting to you, and don't diversify too much because you can't be on too many places, right? And never listen to others what you should do. Even myself. Never listen to others. Listen to yourself. See what will be interesting to you. Because the thing is, yeah, many people are just not so in tune with the inner voice. And I mean, it's a process of evolution. For me, that I've started painting, I never thought I would be doing that. And I know I've shared this with you. I don't know, there's actually many new people in the community, but anyway, my dream and my vision for my life was to be an athlete, to be a professional athlete, and that's what I was doing. I was training for that, and that was my dream. And when I went all in, I felt called to start painting. So life is mysterious. Okay, one road structure has always been missing for me. My fault. Yeah, well, one thing about structure that I've learned for myself, because I'm an artist, and if I would not be present in sports, I would have big challenges with structure as well. Because for artists, we have quite jumpy mind. And one thing with artists that is maybe the most challenging is that each idea feels exciting. And then you start working on one idea, and then new exciting idea finds you, and you want to get that same excitement, that same fire, and you go to that new idea. And if you don't have a sense of structure and discipline, every time new idea will come to you, you will follow it. So then you become kind of puppet of ideas, and it's not a healthy way to live, because actually ideas needs to become kind of your puppets, because you're here a creator and you should use ideas to be expressed through you, but you shouldn't be a puppet of ideas. If you know what I mean. Actually, to many people, it's happening that they're kind of puppets of their thoughts. But actually, you need to build discipline. And discipline is structured. And discipline is to have a certain degree of structure in your life. Like have certain things. It doesn't need to be everything, but certain things that you start and finish every single day. It can be little things, like you can decide every single day, I will read 3 pages of a book and accomplish it, and it will bring you a sense of satisfaction. It can be just, I don't know, finish a bed in the morning every single day, do 10 push ups every single morning. I'm making it up. But the point is that you start training yourself, that what you start, you finish. Because that's how you start developing structure in your brain. You start developing muscle of kind of persistence, that what you start, you will finish. The problem is people decide, I will start something huge, like, I don't know, a certain project, but they've never been consistent with anything. So obviously they started for one day, as they've been excited the first day and motivated, and then they stop because they don't have a muscle for it. And actually, I've been coaching so many people that had that same pattern. I guess I'm attracting this kind of people towards me because maybe a part of me was like that as well. And then I've noticed, well, we just need to set certain little things that we accomplish every single day. So we start training ourselves. And I guess it's all connected with this time right now, because I want to see people have breakthroughs. And most people don't have breakthroughs because they don't stay consistent to what they start. I didn't know I was being a puppet. Like, reflect on how you're behaving. How many times you grab your phone, not consciously. It's not you that's doing that. It's a habit. It's an unconscious impulse. How many of these impulses were jumpy? Like doing one thing and doing another and doing another and doing another. And well, with all these short activities, you're only training your brain to be good at jumping around. And if your brain is good at jumping around, well, it will not be good at jumping in one direction for a longer period of time, right? So those were very, very good questions, and I love this kind of questions, because those are people who really want to make a change. And I'm really happy for those of you who are really wondering that, because you see, most people are really not setting questions, and as long as we don't set questions, we can't expect answers. Okay, another good one. Hi, could you please give me some advice about how to bounce back, integrate your lessons, and move forward? The constant failure gets to me sometimes. Well, firstly, I know how it feels, and I feel you. I feel you. Himlitada, I feel you. And I've been there, and I'm still facing with that sometimes. But there are two things that helps me the most. The first thing is that I always, if I see that something is repeating in my life, something that I really don't like, or something that gives me a sense of failure, like I've tried this so many times and I'm keep failing, I would talk with someone, with a friend of mine, or with my partner, or with my mother. I would talk with someone to whom I would trust, to whom I know that he or she could give me a different perspective on that. This is the first thing I would do. I would talk and share what is happening so I can gain a different perspective. Because sometimes a new perspective is all you need to break through, to break the cycle of repetition, right? And the second one is journaling. I'm writing down what's happening and I'm asking myself, what am I missing here? What I'm not seeing that I should see? Or why I'm keep repeating the same things? What knowledge am I missing? Is there something that I would need know but I don't know? Those are great questions. Is there something I would need to know but I don't know? Because usually the problem is that we don't know what we don't know, right? We don't know what we don't know. So we need to ask ourselves, what knowledge would really help me here to see things differently? Because then you can buy a book or you can listen a podcast and it will help you to see things differently. And new perspective will always give you motivation to bounce back, to jump back on track. New perspective will always give you something new that will inspire you. Because the reason we often lose motivation is that we notice no growth, right? And growth gives us the most drive. So if we see no growth, well, then we start to feel like we're useless, or we start to feel that we're not going anywhere. and if we feel we're not going anywhere, we start to lose meaning. Like, why should I keep going with it? But then we connect it with the idea that we are a failure. And if we believe that we are a failure, we'll not start anything new, because we'll say, well, I failed here, so I will fail there as well. So better not starting anything. So quit that idea that you're a failure and actually start saying to yourself, every time I fail, I learn. Every time I fail, I grow. Because you will notice, if you reflect on your past, every time you failed at something, eventually you've noticed that it taught you something important. And you've become wiser. You've become wiser. In 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years from now, you will notice that because of this repetition, it actually built you into who you are right now. This is good that we're talking about this today. So I love these spontaneous questions. And yeah, awesome for this time, for this new moon update. Well, I don't need to flow, because you have just the right questions. Everything you're asking is leading me into what I wanted to talk about. Okay, another question is, how do you let go of that you're so in love with, but you know that they're so bad for you? Do you mean people or activities, like addiction or something? If you can articulate it, then it will be much easier to answer. And the next one was, how can I feel free? Well, this one is a good one. How many of you are wondering how to feel free? How to feel free? So what is freedom? Is this is this when you're out in nature and the wind is blowing away and you feel happy with yourself? Is that freedom? Is freedom when someone hugs you and tells you that you're seen and appreciated? Is freedom when you're doing something you love to do and you lose a sense of self in it? Is that freedom? When you will define what being free truly means to you, then it will be much easier to feel it more frequently. For me, freedom is, well, there's many different experiences that give me a sense of freedom. One is creative expression, like when I'm painting. Painting gives me a sense of freedom, and I actually free myself. I lose the sense of time, I lose the sense of space, and it gives me freedom. If I'm lacking freedom, it's usually because I've been not painting, I've been not really expressing myself creatively, or I've lost touch with nature. That's when I lose a sense of freedom. If you get stuck in certain emotions that need to be resolved and understood better, it may also be hard to feel free. If you are embodying too much of destructive behaviors, maybe certain addictions and maybe bad diet or not being active, you may lack freedom, because there are biological needs. Like, if you have a dog, how many of you have a pet or a dog? You see, when dog is calling to go out, it's like, it wants to go out, and you set it free, and you you can feel its happiness, right? But you can also connect it with yourself. Like, sometimes your body is craving nature and sun and increased blood flow. And when you provide it to yourself, like you go out for a run, or you go out for a walk, or you go and have a deep conversation with someone, you will feel free. Of course, the highest expression of freedom is free from ego, but it's kind of you don't need to strive towards it, because if you're living a healthy and good life where you're constantly striving towards a certain type of growth and evolution, and you are updating your values at some point, this will become just natural for you, that you will feel free every single day, right? And you can know that it's financial freedom, it's personal freedom, not being controlled by someone in your circle. It's mental freedom, not being stuck in limiting beliefs or self-critical thinking, questioning your inner critic, and I don't know, therapy or meditation, whatever works. And emotional freedom, whatever you need to free yourself emotionally. Sometimes it can be physical work, like a workout, but most of the time it's expression. It's talking about what you feel. If you have a lot of suppressed emotions, like you may feel depression, or you may feel sadness, or you may feel a lot of worry, well, find someone with whom you can talk, and it will already feel like a freedom. Okay, how do I let go of someone I'm so in love with, but they are so bad for me and unhealthy for me? Well, here I feel it's not love, it's attachment. I would say maybe you're attached. If a person is really bad for you, then you're not in love with them. You're most probably attached to them. And you may be scared how your life would be without them. And that's why it's so hard for you to let them go, if that is true what you've wrote. You can also let them go out of love. Like those who love them, they also let them go, right? Because if you truly love someone, you want the best for them, right? And if you love yourself, you want the best for yourself. If you don't love yourself, you will stay attached to something destructive, and you will say you love them. If you truly love them, without loving yourself, you can't love them. You will be only attached to them. Because if you don't love yourself, you don't know what love is, right? And if you love yourself, you want the best for yourself. And if you want the best for yourself, you will not stay with someone who's destructive for you. If they are truly destructive for you, it's also a topic of discussion. Are they truly destructive for you, or they actually want the best for you, but you take it as something bad? Well, something to reflect on. But I think it's important to reflect on these words. Because, well, love is the highest virtue, right? It's higher than being good. Love is higher than being good. But if you don't do what's good for you, then you don't love you, right? You don't even love you. So learn to love you. And I was just, today I felt to make a video about self-love. Most probably I will do it tomorrow to talk a little bit about this. But we have a good conversation. So firstly, thanks to everyone for being part of this session. It was a good one. And you see, we are on an interesting frequency. It's all for the good. It's all for the change. It's all for the big change. And I think today's conversation can help so many people to what this video is titled as a season of huge change. And I just always remind people, because so many times I see comments like nothing is changing, or I'm waiting this to happen. It's you've been waiting for. It's always you. And you're the change, because you see, reality is happening through you. And what's around you is still perceived through you. And as long as you don't change your perception, nothing will seem to change. So what is the problem? that the reflection is not changing, or the lens through which you see the reflection hasn't been changed. Yes. So thanks to everyone for good questions. We will finish the stream here. If there is anything else we could answer, it actually happened like a Q&A, which is something I like. Okay, I will take this one as the last one. Is there any tips on staying positive with body pain persisting? Well, if body pain is persisting, then, well, firstly, figure out from where this pain is coming from. Don't try to be just positive about it, but first to find the cause for it, which I believe you already did. And then find the solution in firstly on biological level, on more physical level with nutrition. Could nutrition, maybe herbs, through herbal healing. I think you could do a lot. Firstly, to maybe fix your brain that is dealing with pain, maybe more kindly. And then there's, I would suggest to everyone who's dealing with anything physical to study the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. I think it can transform your body a lot if you stay consistent with the meditations and the philosophy he's teaching with all of that. If you're dealing with something serious and you're already taking care of the physical, well, also, I would suggest to do that. And about staying positive, create a vision for how you see yourself in the future. Write it down precisely who you are in the future. What is that new body of yours, the new mindset of yours, the new emotional goal for yours? Like, how are you feeling in the future? And all of that, and write it down so clearly. And maybe attach some symbols to it, like what is symbolizing this type of a health. Some images, maybe like a vision board, where you can see, I don't know, a healthy person. So you can connect, you can connect your future with that vision. So if you've taken care of your physical body, like your diet, nutrition, certain exercises that can help you with that, and then spiritual health, so you can transcend your frequency, I would suggest the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza with that, because I've seen so many people changed with that when it comes to health. And when it comes to health, great changes. And then having a vision for the future. So this is it, my friends. Thank you so much for being a part of today's session. It was such a great time. I love you all, my friends. Thanks also to everyone for supporting my art in our store, AttractPassion.com. You see here I have the Spirit of a Lion. This one it's so huge. It's down in the corner right now. We are in my studio, my fresh new studio. We've moved to this place, and this is, it's freshly renovated, and it's great. I love it. So thanks to everyone for supporting my art. To anyone who's interested into my art, you can find it on AttractPassion.com. The link is also in the description of this video, where you can find some of my original paintings. They are quite rare because usually they go very fast. Sometimes when I create a new painting, it goes fast. So I love your support, my friends. And you can also find prints of all of my paintings prints of all of my paintings, some stickers. There are also some guided meditations, and join the newsletter, because we're constantly, I'm here and there, I'm sending certain updates or certain practical guidance, or new art. When I finish a new art, I'm excited to share the one that I'm working on right now, because it's very incredible. Yeah, and also thanks to everyone for joining our Patreon community for more exclusive content. And that's it. You can find all the links in the description of this video. So thanks once again for everyone joining here today. We had a wonderful session. I love you all, and till next time, one love.